your mind's reaction is to another for you. Here's the law, the love and attraction. I'll show you what I can do. You know you find a result now. You know just what to do. Just think, babe, you're a...
Hi everyone, welcome to Corimbia Cottage. We decided it's time to make Mandarin jam. Well, we've got a dozen mandarins. They're quite large. They're emperor mandarins. And I've just got one lemon, which I'll add to the mix. When you're peeling your mandarin, then reserve some of the skins. These skins will go into the mix of the jam. I usually keep the really nice, clean looking skin. You can see some of them aren't very nice. So I won't use that to put in the jam. But this one's a nice, healthy looking one. So you've got your mandies in segments. So you can break them all up. And what I like to do is take off the pith. So you can see that pith, and then find the seeds, squeeze out the seeds, and chop them up quite finely, and then into the pan. Today is the first process, and I'll be putting it in the fridge overnight. It seems to give it a really nice flavour when you leave it for that time to just settle. So what I'll do, I'll put all the mandies in, pop water over the top just to cover, and then pop it in the fridge overnight. So we're nearly at the end of our intensive chopping, and you can see how much we've got in the pot. I'll just show you what we do with the peel. So the peel's got quite a bit of pith. So what I do, I get a serrated edge knife and just grate that off. And you can see it comes off quite easily. So get rid of all that white pithy part. So I'll just save the skin from 3 or 4 of them. Then I'll chop them up quite finely and into smaller pieces. So it cooks down really nicely. Just gives a little bit of extra zing to your jams. So once you've got it chopped up quite finely, then you pop that in with your mandarin. And then the last thing before we put the water in is we'll put a juice of a lemon in. I usually use the Lisbon lemon or a Eureka lemon or a bush lemon because they've got the pectin in. The Maya lemons aren't real good for pectin, so best if you've got the other sorts. We'll put that in, and then another half. Do the other half, pop that in, pop that in. Then the next thing is to go to the tap and fill up just enough water just to cover. Well, my mandarins have been sitting overnight in the fridge in the water, and now it's time to take them out and make our jam. So you can see they're looking good. I did put a lid on them as well to stop them drying out in the fridge. So these mandarins are now to go on the stove. It's just plain mandarin and water. That bring to the boil. Important to keep an eye on it at the moment. It will get really hot. It may burn on the bottom. So if you've got a really good silicone spoon or a wooden spoon, stir it up and make sure that while you're bringing it to the boil, you really keep an eye on it. Don't walk away and leave it. You can see it boiling away nicely there. So we're just going to let it boil for quite some time until that fruit's nice and soft. It's been about 15 minutes we've been boiling this for. So as you can see, it's starting to get softer. There's another seed, and you'll see those seeds popping up This is where we get rid of it all. When it's nearly ready and you think it's ready, you can take a little bit out and pop it on a plate, and you'll be able to see if it's soft enough. That looks pretty good. And the peel will just cut quite easily. So we might start thinking about taking that off the heat, cooling it down, and then we're going to measure the quantity of this mix. So we've just got the boiled mandarins in here and the peels and water, nothing else. So what we'll do, we'll carefully pour this liquid into our jug and measure it. Okay, we've got 8 cups of liquid. So we'll pop that back into the pot, and then I'm going to measure around about 7 cups of sugar, around about 7 cups. Yeah, that'll be it. Take it back up to boil and add our sugar carefully. So we'll only add our sugar a little bit at a time, not dump it all in at once. So a little bit at a time and stir. But make sure you keep it boiling for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, we'll turn the heat down and test it on the cold plate just to make sure that it's actually setting. Our plate in the freezer so it's really, really cold. Take a little bit of the mix out, pop it on your plate, let it sit for a little while. To get it to know whether it's gelling up or not, you'll need to leave it a little while just to sit, and then you can usually run a knife through, or your finger, well, you run the knife through, but that doesn't look very set at the moment. Might just need a little bit more boiling, so we'll leave it on a bit longer. Okay, I'm giving it another test, so it looks like it's not running too much, so this one much better than last time. So what I've done, I've given it another 5 minutes to boil. It's a Kilner and jam pourer. So we'll pop that on the jars and we'll just carefully pour that in. And then we'll seal it and pop it in the fridge for 24 hours. We're back again, guys. Guess what? Sometimes things just don't work out, and this is one of them. You know, so we can show you the Mandarin jam is not setting. Some of them are a little bit more runny than others, but we thought it was pretty good, but this time it hasn't set up. So what we're going to do, we're going to empty all these jars back into the pot, then we'll wash the jars up in soapy water, rinse them all out with boiled water, let them drain off a little while, get this Mandarin jam back up to heat, let it bubble away, and then I'll add another half a packet of Jamsetta plus just a little bit more sugar. So the sugar's just a carrier. So I think it's important to realise that sometimes things just don't go well, even when you're making a YouTube clip. But don't panic. Usually we can sort it out or do something different. So here we go. But you can see that that looks just a little bit too runny. We're not going to be able to put that on our toast. I think it'll be sliding off the sides. So there we go, going back in for another boil. So here it is, back on the stove, and just be careful to keep stirring it. It's been 5 minutes and I've turned the heat off this one. Put it on the cold test plate and we are looking like it's a little bit stronger. So hopefully that will be it. And you can take your pan over. And we'll clean up the sink and fill up our jars. Just use a strainer or a slotted spoon and you can just pull that off so it doesn't go in your jar. It's just been sitting for a couple of minutes and now it looks a lot better. It's even sticking on the wooden spoon. So I'm very hopeful this one will not be a problem.